Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on when you watch this, most magnificent mathematicians. We're going to go through simplifying algebraic expressions, equations, inequalities, pretty much anything that's algebra, which is why you see here I have it, bulleted out to 4 different things, because really it's just anything algebraic. Make sure you put your date on your paper and what unit we're in, so that way it will be easier for you to find what notes that you can use on the test and what notes to study for the test. We do have 2 vocabulary terms, and actually you've heard these before, so you already know what they are, but still, write it down. We have like terms. That means same variable and exponent. It is important for you to know the exponent also has to be the same within those terms. For example, 2x cubed and negative 4x to the power of 3. They both have x as your variable and 3 as the exponent. Very important. Another example is just 5.7c and 1/4 c. Even though one's a decimal and one's a fraction, since they both have the same variable, they're like terms. We can put them together. Our other vocab term is distributive property. And I know it's really tacky to use the word in the definition, but distribute really is the best term for this. So you just distribute a term by multiplication. Meaning, if I have something on the outside of the on the outside of the parenthesis, like for example, A here, it is A times the sum of B and C. So we distribute the A times B, so we get AB. And distribute A times C, we get AC. Same thing if it's negative. A is still multiplying the difference of B and C. So A times B is AB, and then A times negative C is negative AC. AB minus AC. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, Miss Palmer, I have no idea what you just said, just a bunch of letters. Hopefully, as we go through some examples, it will make sense to you. You'll be like, oh, of course. But what we need to keep in mind is that an algebraic expression or an equation, anything algebraic, is in its simplest form when it has no like terms left and no parentheses. So we need to do everything we can to get rid of those 2 things. And once we do, it's in its simplest form, which is why we only have 2 steps here. First, we're going to distribute. So we're going to do multiplication. If I see parentheses, I know I'm multiplying something. Then I will combine my like terms. Let's go through some examples so you know what I'm talking about. We're going to go through 5 examples. Example number 1, 8 minus 8 times the sum of x plus 1. So what I like to do and what I like to tell my students to do is circle the term on the outside of the parenthesis. Please notice I circled the negative 8 because whatever sign is in front of that number belongs to that number, and I can't forget that. So now I'm doing 8, somehow that changed my eraser. 8 times x and 8 times 1. So let's simplify. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Then negative 8 times positive 1 is negative 8. And I'm going to simplify by combining my like terms. I usually do shapes in this. Circles and squares are the most common I use. So my like terms are my constants that are just regular numbers. And then my terms that have variables in it. But I only have one that has a variable. So 8 minus 8 is 0. Therefore, my answer just comes out to negative 8x. That is its most simplified form of that expression. And yes, all the examples we're doing today are just expressions. It doesn't become an equation until we get that equal sign. And then it's not an inequality until we have the inequality sign. So these are just expressions just to practice. All right, example number 2. Again, I'm going to circle the term that's on the outside of the parenthesis. Again, this is a negative 3. So I'm going to multiply, distributing that negative 3 times 1 and 9n. So let's bring down that 4. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 times 9n, I know 3 times 9 is 27. So negative 3 times 9 is negative 27n. Just got to bring that down. So now let's combine like terms. I'm going to circle my constants and then box my terms that have n in it. So combining my circles, 4 minus 3 is 1, and then bring down that negative 27n. Just for mathematical purposes and organization, it is actually better to write all the terms with variables first. So this would actually be negative 27n plus 1. It really depends on your math teacher. Once you get to college and even more advanced math classes in high school, you'll start seeing that all of your professors, all of your teachers always write every algebraic expression in alphabetical order, exponents first, and then always the terms with variables first, and then your constants always go at the end. Okay, number 3. My expression is negative m plus 9 times the difference of negative 2m and negative 5, or the difference of negative 2m and 5. So I am distributing just 9. I'm not circling the positive because it just means it's positive. I circle a negative to make sure I remember to apply my negative rules. So let's bring down that negative m. 9 times negative 2 is negative 18m. You cannot forget those variables. 9 times negative 5 is negative 45. I'm going to circle my terms that have variable m in it. So negative m and negative 18m, and box my constants, which is only 1. So I'm going to put together the m and the 18m. I know same signs, add and keep. And they both have negatives. So I know that I'm going to add 1 plus 18, right? Because there's an imaginary 1 in here, which is 19. So negative 19m minus 45. It's fully simplified. I don't have parentheses. I don't have any more like terms. That's my answer. Oh, and I put the term that has a variable in it first. So we roll good. Moving on to number 4. Negative 4 times the sum of negative 2 and 3x, then subtract 5x. So let's circle my term, negative 4, multiplying it times negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. Negative 4 times positive 3x. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12x. Cannot forget that variable. And let's bring down that negative 5x. So I only have one constant, and I have 2 terms that have a variable x with an exponent of 1. So let's bring down that 8. Negative 12 minus 5, same signs, add and keep. That comes out to a negative 17x. But let's switch these 2 around. So my term with the variable is first. Negative 17x plus 8. That's it, fully simplified. Okay, number 5 is a little extra, but y'all should know me by now, and I can be a little extra. But you know all of these words, and I think it's great practice. So we're gonna do it. Number 5 reads, find the difference of 8x and twice the sum of x and 7. Write your answer in simplest form. So first, let's cube this. I'm just gonna box my keywords and circle my terms. Find the difference of 8x, and twice the sum of x and 7. So let's translate that. Find the difference of 8x and, so I'm finding the difference, I'm subtracting 8x and twice, right? Twice means times 2. So I'm doubling the sum of x and 7. Twice the sum of x plus 7. Okay, so let's distribute and then combine like terms. Distributing that negative 2. So let's bring down the 8x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And then negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. So let's circle constants, or sorry, circle terms with the x, box constants. 8x minus 2x, well, 8 minus 2 is 6. And then let's bring down that negative 14. I do not have any parentheses, and I do not have any like terms. That's it, guys. That's all she wrote. If you have any questions about any of this, reach out to your teacher. That's our job.